Welcome to today's lecture. I'm going to be discussing another important topic about documentation. Documenting the observation, the need or importance for proper documentation during your graduate research. This is a very important topic, and today we would be discussing this topic in great detail. Today's topic is even more grounded on the need for communication. We will take up the need, the importance, the value for documentation all throughout your research days from a variety of perspective. We will deal the topic in totality. We will deal it from a student's perspective. We will see what are the issues that confront students in carrying out a proper documentation. We will see the need for implementation of documentation from the guide's perspective, why it is important that everything is documented properly. We will also see the need for proper documentation as an evidence, as a legal evidence with regard to the claims of discovery and how good documentation can help a discovery claim made in research journal. We'll also see how this documentation is required for archiving purposes. Now, to begin with, if we follow the trail of graduate research, starting from joining a group, then finding a research advisor, which is the second step, and then finding a research project, the documentation kicks in from after finding a research project, from when the student starts working on the research project, that the day-to-day experience, the day-to-day observation has to be documented in a proper technical fashion, in a proper technical journal. So documentation sort of starts with the student working on a research project, and that begins with writing up all his experiments in the notebook. The first hand documentation is carried out on a research notebook, which becomes the daily technical journal which a researcher keeps for the entire course of his journey. Now, as the researcher, as the student progresses in the project, and all of the research experiments performed by the student are entered, are documented in that notebook, research notebook. And when the project comes towards the completion, the important experiments, the knowledge that distills out of the project, the important experiments, the successful experiments, the observation which summarizes the findings of the project, all those are then written up in form of a manuscript with all the supporting evidences provided in a written technical format, and that findings, the claims, the observations, as well as the technical proofs, the supporting information, all of those are then submitted to a scientific journal for further review, and the content of those technical report gets reviewed by experts in the area. The experts in the area are none other than practitioners of that particular problem. They are selected by the editor of the journal, who asks them to review the manuscript, and they, based on their expertise, put up some questions or clarifications after reading the manuscript that is submitted, and also provides some valuable suggestions to the authors, and those were passed on to the authors, the student and the guide, by the editors, requesting comments. And when all of these comments are incorporated or responded to by the student and the guide in a favorable way, then the editor asks them to submit a revised manuscript incorporating all of these comments and suggestions. And when submitted, the manuscript gets then published, and the work thus become available to the community, research community, as a peer reviewed, validated research results. So now what you see is that this documentation starts from when the student perform experiments, and the platform of documentation changes as the project progresses. For example, when the student joins and carries his research, the documentation happens in a notebook. And when the research progresses further, research converges, and when the research is taken forward for publication, then based on from notebook results, manuscript is written with all the technical scientific content. So at that time, the documentation which had so far been restricted only to notebook gets transferred to another electronic platform, which is in electronic Word document, a report with all the supporting information. So usually, if from notebook, now the transfer occurs to a report, electronic technical report. So transfer of knowledge occurs from the notebook to the report. And when that report is written up well, submitted, and finally it gets accepted, then again the documentation gets transferred over to another platform, which is a platform of published literature. This printed literature is available across the community throughout the world. So as we see, the documentation platform changes during the course of the research. Initially, when it is located in the beginning part of the project, when the documentation just begins and is restricted to notebook, then it is limited and restricted to only the laboratory in which the researcher is carrying out research. So in that case, the documentation stays confined to only two people, primarily the student and the advisor. So then when the work is written up, we go to the next stage where now the written documentation of a notebook gets converted to a report and submitted to journal. Then the documentation at that stage is seen or have access to 2-3 experts who would be reviewing the result. And when that stage is surpassed, then the documentation appears as a printed matter and is accessible to all the leading experts across the globe. So we see that documentation has three stages. That starts with writing notebooks, which gets converted to writing reports, and then which gets finally converted to accepted manuscripts. So three stages, and I want you to be aware of that. Now, the point I am making, as I said, that I will be dealing with the documentation from all perspectives. Now, from a student's perspective, the documentation is a must. It is like attendance to a class. Now, for any course you enroll, the policy is a student is supposed to attend all the lectures. Now, many times the students have questions that comes to their mind. What's the need for me to attend all the classes? Why can't I just take the exam and then get a score and I study myself? Now, the answer to that is that you need an instructor to guide you through the content of the course, and to do that effectively, you are supposed to be present for all the classes. So it is expected that the student is supposed to attend all the classes. Similarly, it is expected for the first layer of documentation, that is notebook writing, it is expected, or rather I would say it is mandatory, that student write all the experiments that student perform in the laboratory towards his graduate research, be it positive experiment, a successful experiment, and a failed experiment. Now, I will talk about some of the students' perspective. From a student's perspective, what's the point of writing all the experiments? Why do you have to write all the experiments? Some experiments I do many times over. Let's say I make something and that is an intermediate for another product. So this first intermediate in this project, I may have to make 200 times. So should I write these experiments 200 times? Why should I not save my time and just write it once? There are issues like, why do you have to write the negative experiments? Why can't I combine experiments? Like I do the same experiment 3-4 times and then write an overall combined experiment, which will be an average of all the observations that I have done. Okay. So I just put across to you three questions which come across a student mind. Why should I write all the experiments, particularly of a particular intermediate which I will be making on a routine basis? What's the need for writing it every time I make it? Why do I have to write negative experiment? Why not just write positive experiment? only the positive ones, the successful ones. And third is that why can't I write average observation for any particular experiment which appears to me as the correct one. Now let me answer the first question, that why do I need to write same experiment every time I do it, even though I have successfully done it one time. So next time if I do the same experiment, I should not write it. Now the justification to that to the student is, think about you manually crossing the road in front of the IIT gate. When the signal stops, you have to just walk across to the other end of the road. Now, how do you do that? You wait for the signal to stop, you look around, turn your head around, both sides. And when you're for sure observed that the traffic has indeed stopped after the signal had turned red, then you quickly start walking. You always look at the time remaining before which you should cross that road, because if you are halfway through and the signal turns green, then you will get hit by the car, and then hopefully you make it to the other end of the road before the signal turns green. Now this is an operation which you have to carry out every time you cross the same road. So if somebody says that, okay sir, I have crossed this road 1000 times by now, and I'm going to cross it 1100 times, so why should I look? The same logic, that why should I write the same experiment when I have done it earlier on? So I think at this point I don't have to look now. I can just cross it over. But the point is, if he tries to do that, that would be a foolish thing to do, because even on the 1001 time when he's trying to cross it, he has to still look all around, do the whole exercise to make it a successful crossing across the road. It does not matter how many times you have done the reaction before. Every time you do the reaction, it requires same importance and same presence of mind. So all experiments are to be written up, be it a same experiment you have done many times over, or be it a new experiment you are doing it in the first time. It has to be written up as complete as possible. The same analogy, if you go to withdraw a certain amount of money from your bank, you have to fill up a form for their transactional record, and then after you submit that form, it gets signed, and then they allow you the cash. Now if you go and say that, okay, I have taken up this certain amount 200 times earlier exact, so I would not want to fill the form. Why do you have to fill the form? Because the same amount I have already done it before. On the basis of that, please allow me the advance, which, because of the same reason of archiving, that will not be permitted. So it is very important that we write daily experiments, be it a new experiment or an old experiment, with total sincerity and observation properly in the notebook. So this is the first stage of documentation. Second question comes that why should we write the negative results? Why not all the positive results? The answer to that is negative results are also results. Actually, we learn more from negative results than from positive results. Positive results are valuable, important in the context of the negative results. So negative results are equally important results as positive results, and your perspective as a researcher should be equal to both. You should give equal attention to your negative results as you give to your positive results, and all results must be written up completely. Now the question comes, why do I have to document? What is the need? Why should we document? So as I said, that you want to document because you have to write. Finally all this writing has to make way to the printed matter, which is your manuscript. And the previous stage before it makes to the manuscript is that it goes to the report. So you have to document everything, all the experiments that you do. And remember that this is a pyramid. What do I mean by that? Everything that is there in your notebook, not everything will go to your thesis. Only the important ones, only the successful one of everything that is made will go to the thesis or go to the report, and a lot which is there in the notebook will not find its way to the report. But that doesn't mean that they are unimportant or they do not belong in the notebook. No, they are equally important. Even the fact that they could not make it to the report, which is the manuscript, prior to getting printed, but their presence in the notebook is very much important. I think you must have been convinced that you have to write your notebook every day. You have to write your notebook for every reaction you perform, whether it is same reaction or whether it is a new reaction. they are must and to be written in the notebook. Now the question comes that can I write an average prep? Let's say I do one reaction 10 times, and then after doing 10 times I write a consolidated report which is an average report. So I just make one entry which is an average of all the 10 entries. So that means that I've done the experiments, I don't have any record, then write an average of that. That will not count. Okay, that will not count in the sense that these documentations are for real experiments to be done. The experiments which have been performed with the exact amounts that have been mentioned, with the exact weights that have been obtained, within the exact conditions under which it is performed. So the results is dependent under the condition, exact condition as per the experiment which was done. So my write-up cannot be a fictitious average of all the experiments. No, if you have done a particular reaction 10 times and each of them you have recorded exactly, so you put forward your best set of data, the best experiment, so best experiment of the 10 experiments, but you don't write an average of the 10 experiments. So whatever goes to your report is the best experiment of the 10 experiments that you have done, that goes to your paper. Now the question comes, is it necessary to write the same reaction? Yes. Is it necessary to write negative results? Yes. Can I write the average of many reactions? No. Now, another issue which confronts students often is that, sir, why do you have to write it daily? I will come and do experiments, and then maybe on a Sunday when I get free time, I will sit and write all the experiments. Now, that also is not acceptable. The reason being that you don't really remember exactly how do you do all those experiments. You can claim that I am a genius and I have a photographic memory and I know everything. Absolutely not. Let me ask you now, can you remember what was the breakfast you have had 10 days earlier? Can you remember what was the dinner you have had 7 days earlier? Unfortunately, we don't recall. The memory just remains blurred. Now, for a particular reaction, when we are writing a reaction retro dated, then not only we have to remember what all reagent we have used, but also we have to remember their weights, the volumes of the solvent, the temperature of the reaction to technical satisfaction. The weights has to be 4 decimal places, the volume precise 1 decimal place of decimal, whatever be the requirement of the experiment. And you cannot in any way have the ability to record what you have done about 15 days earlier, 10 days earlier, even 7 days earlier, even 3 days earlier. You would not know. You would have a gross idea of I have done this, but that knowledge, whatever you retain at a later date, that is not sufficient for you to write an exact journal. Now, I hope you realize that this documentation is turning out or coming out to be something which is very important and which should be maintained every day on a daily basis. And that's the first commitment you make as a researcher, and this documentation is part of your communication ability. This is the first record of communication. Now the first record of communication happens in a notebook which may be accessible only to the guide and the student. Even though it is a first record, even though it is limited to only 2 people in the whole world, it is most important valuable documents at that point. Gradually, as the research expands or gets validated, this documentation from the notebooks gets transferred over to a report in form of a manuscript, which would be now available to the student and the guide and the few expertise who would review your research. And then finally, that manuscript, that report, electronic report would get transferred to another documentation, which is a printed paper. And in that case, it would be accessible to the entire scientific community. Now the question is that why do I bother? What's the need for documentation? Like if I don't want to maintain a notebook. I will do experiments and then I will submit, I will write the manuscript right away and push it further towards publication. Now, let me tell you, legally, let's say if you just write a manuscript straight away and you don't have any notebook documentation of stuff which is entered in the manuscript, then if challenged for the record without the notebook writing, your manuscript is not legally tenable. The claims are not legally tenable. The manuscript, the report is valuable, is valid only on the basis of your notebook, so long there is an entry in the lab journal. In absence of any entry in the lab journal, then the results mentioned in the manuscript becomes highly questionable. How it will become highly questionable? Let's say some expert, he is an expert and he has not done the experiments, but he has very good command or she has very good command in the area. He can just write a manuscript which would look real. which would seem real, and give it for publication. Well, if he is asked that show us the experiments that you have done, provide the experimental proof, that is the time when he would not have any legal ability to do that, and that manuscript would be turn out to be a fake manuscript or fake results. So one of the validation of the manuscripts of the written report are the notebooks, which are the daily documents. So it's very important. And actually, in one way, your laboratory notebooks are more important documents legally recognized throughout the world than your internal reports or manuscripts, because these manuscripts are valid so long you have evidences for carrying out these experiments individually, and these evidences are born in the notebooks that you keep on a daily basis. So these notebooks have to be done in a precise way. Let's say from a student's perspective, it may cross people's mind, what if I don't maintain that notebook? What's the point of documentation? Let's say I just write something up, I submit to a journal, and if it's written in a seemingly foolproof way, then the expert may even get fooled and allow the publication of the journal. The journal gets published. Let me tell you that why do we publish? What's the point of publishing results? First, publishing means that you are broadcasting your claim to a larger audience, but broadcasting your research experimental results to a larger audience through the journal, and these your claim validated or verified by the referees of the journal. Now, once it goes past the hand of the referees, of the desk of the referees, and gets printed, let's say for some reason the refereeing process was not as rigorous as it should have been, and it really made it way to the next stage, then is it the end of the road? Then researcher doing it, they feel secure that okay, now I know that it's all fake results, but anyway referees could not find wrong with it and it's got published, now I'm very happy. Actually, that is the most dangerous things to do, because in the technical community there is a thing called retraction. So when your results are published in a literature, and if these results are not good, these results would be read and practiced by many researchers across the globe. So there would be another person like you who would see this title of your paper somewhere in their computer, download the paper and repeat the experiment, and there will be many such people. And if they follow the protocol which you report, and if they don't get the results that you claim, then they would write to the editor saying that this paper is reporting wrong results, and the editor in turn gets in touch with the, if he's convinced, gets in touch with the guide or the researcher and say that please retract your paper. Now, retraction is like a bad stamp mark on your career. So if you have a retraction in your career, then wherever you apply, you get marked. To the community, as a researcher, people know that your work is not reproducible. That means whatever you claim is not reproduced in other people's hand. So that will undermine your professional status to a significant extent, to the extent that you may not proceed further in the field depending on that. So for you guys who are just a budding starting researcher, retraction may mean a nail in a coffin, like that is the end of your road in this. So you should be extremely careful. You'd rather have no publication from PhD, even that is better than having a retraction from your PhD. That means the career is ended even before it began. So what I've done, I've shown you the stages of documentation. It starts with hard copy notebook, then formally goes to a report stage, manuscript, and then it goes to a printed matter to the community, and how all of this begins with you when you join the lab and write research results. Now, I'm going to give you a perspective of what's the need for documentation. The need for documentation is keeping the whole thing, the whole perspective that is thrown open to you in mind. So what is the thing? If you have done this process of writing notebooks properly, and then that gets transferred to a manuscript to finally the printed matter, and you have done your work very diligently over there, then whatever is printed, that even outlives your mortal lives. That means what? That when you or your guide is no longer physically there in this earth, even if you are long dead, your work, that published literature, remains. Even somebody reading this paper 200 years from now, 150 years from now, when the original researcher who had reported the results are no more there to provide any clarification, any verification on the experiments that they have reported. If it is done properly, even after that, when the original researcher are separated by space and time with the researcher who are doing the experiment, and they are maybe 150 years apart, those experiments in that future time would be able to get the same results what you have gotten 100 years, 150 years back. So this documentation, and these they achieve without having have to call you or phone you and find out, oh, how do you do the step? Is there was any change? I'm not finding it. They don't have to interact in any way, and there is no need. So this documentation is thus what you do. You do it for other people, for sake of the community, so that if you do it properly, whatever results you get across, that can be reproduced and repeated seamlessly without having have to interact with the original researcher in any way. So in the end, it is done for the rest, for other people too, so that they can do the experiments properly. You started the journey by doing the documentation for yourself. In the beginning, I need to write the experiments, I need to do, if it is wrong, then it is my responsibility, everything has to be done. And then you find that when the paper gets published, the knowledge is printed. This documentation, if properly done at your end, will benefit so many people. Even this documentation will even stay much beyond your physical life. Your paper will outlive you. So it is something which you are keeping for future generation, for future progeny, for future humanity to use. So it's a huge responsibility on you. It's a huge responsibility on you to record things properly. See, so much knowledge we get, and they turn out to be true, and those had been done by our ancestors. Think, with limited resources, whatever scientific experiments they have done and arrived at, those conclusions are even valid even post their mortal lives. So documentation is the first form of communication that you make of your results by doing the experiments, and stays in the notebook when it is stays between you and your advisor, and then that transforms to a manuscript written report where your results are now being seen by few experts in the area, till the printed matter when your results are seen by the whole world, and those results stay even after your mortal life. So they outlive you physically. So that's why they are very important. One last thing, this is just an advice from an advisor, which I myself is to, and I always give it to my student, that if you are smart and if you document everything properly, then you save a lot of time towards the end while you are writing your thesis. Now, for example, if you have made some studying materials and during the course of PhD or some experiments, and you have not done the documentation properly, maybe the solvent volume, maybe the temperature, maybe the catalyst loading. So those weights are very simple things, it might have skipped during the process of doing it. Then in the fifth year, when you are really submitting your thesis, you may have to go and do the experiments and get those data which you have missed in the beginning, just to make your experiments complete. And in the process, you lose a lot of time in getting those data towards the end. The value of your time increases. In the first year, if you spend 3 hours or 6 hours in a column, it wouldn't. 2 days on a failed experiment wouldn't matter you much. But if you spend the same amount of time retrieving some old experiment in the fifth year when you are submitting, that will pinch you much, because the scholarships are ending, you have deadline to submit your thesis, you have to find yourself a good postdoc or for job post submission. So all of these extra activities will occupy your time at that point of time. And then if you have to go and repeat some of the first year experiments just to get the data, that you have to do it for sake of completeness, but that will pinch you more if it's done in the first year when you have plenty of time on hand to record your experiments. With this, I come to the end of today's lecture. I have taken you through the process of documentation, particularly the laboratory notebook writing. This is the first thing that everybody should inculcate as a good habit of a researcher, and maintain it all through and through their entire professional lives. As long as they do experiments, the daily notebook journal has to be maintained, and this is the most important piece of documents based on which all the manuscripts, all the theses are validated legally, and in the absence of which any thesis, any report, any claim becomes completely valueless. They lose their strength. So this is the most important piece of hard evidence which one has to maintain and keep it all through. Make it a habit to write the daily experiments up on a daily basis, because in that way you will not forget any observation and take it further. So with this, I again thank you for your attention and listening to me. I look forward to take up another topic when we meet next, and I wish you all the best with your graduate work, particularly with your documentation, research problem, and also research area. I wish you all the best. Goodbye.